Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Monday morning, the day after the 24 hours of La Mine at Jacksonville International Raceway up in Jacksonville, Florida. Let's just say I like to call it Le Mud Fest because it had been raining before and it rained during the race, and the clay-looking mud is off the racetrack, and then in the backside on the off-road part, it was it turned into mud from start to finish. Slippery, slimy, wet, gooey, kind of cement-like stucco mud everywhere. So it was a challenge. 24-hour bike did all right. As you can see, the chains off it. My last little stint on the racetrack, the master link blew, and I didn't have the correct master link for it, for that heavy-duty chain, so I couldn't put it back on. But as you can tell by the amount of mud, actually this amount of mud is light. We had already washed it off one time, and when we took a break and cleaned it off one time, and then this was from the last bit of riding, so just caked on, stuck on. On the engine, it would typically fill up all the fins and around the exhaust and get caked and cooked on. You'd have to chip it off. So we did that a couple times just to keep it so the engine could breathe a little bit, cool a little bit. But overall, it did all right. Has some vibration issues, probably from the way that the engine's mounted. Seems to transmit a lot of vibration to the handlebars. Got to look at that, maybe come up with a different mount. I have an idea on it. I have to take a look and maybe try out my idea and see if it works. I'm not going to say what it is until I actually try it out. But yeah, it was everybody's bikes. They were the people who actually won the event or had the most laps. This was put on by the Florida Gambler bunch, and some reason the Gambler people don't like lap counts. I don't quite understand that. Maybe it makes some people get butt hurt, but I don't care about that. The facts are, some of the guys rode all night. We didn't. Some of them rode all night and put it together a ginormous amount of laps, so they should get recognition for that by just simple numbers. But hey, that's for another day. You can see how the mud is packed into this thing, and on the wheels, we scraped those wheels clean one time already. One of our guys took a little crash and bent this lever like backwards, and I think the brakes got butt hurt, and back brakes got butt hurt and stopped working. So but the fronts were still working. We had front brakes, and that was kind of pretty much all you needed. And a lot of times out there, just let off the gas and let the bike decelerate, and that was enough to get through a corner or wherever. Seat worked out really nice, the way we'd made the nice cushy seat. So you weren't having to get a special shipment of Preparation H brought in. But yeah, this is I fell down 5 times in different parts of the track, so I'm pretty sore today. But falling down's, I guess, kind of the thing when it's as muddy as it is. Actually, the first time I went over the handlebars, when I hit this mud hole that they eventually blocked off because it was so deep, the front wheel went stuck, and I flipped over the bars. So that was my first experience with the mud. But all in all, I think it performed pretty well. The back sprocket, which was made out of aluminum, took a beating. I think it's pretty much done for, but we're going to replace that with a steel sprocket. And we had to pull the cover off the front of the engine twice and unpack it of mud. It was full of it. So there's some issues. It acts a little different standing up, the 212, but it's nothing that can't be overcome with a little bit of a research. But all in all, frame all stayed together. All the frame mods are all still welded together. I guess some people were breaking frames. We didn't break anything like that, not that I know of, or not that I can see through the mud yet. The handlebar mounting head there for the triple tree didn't break. If it was going to break, I would have broke it when I flipped over the handlebars. So or the whole bike flipped over, because it came to a stop rather quickly. All in all, though, people were asking about a gas tank. They were like, "How much for a gas tank? Can you make me a gas tank?" We have to look into that a little further. The parts that I bought, the front end components and such that I purchased off of Amazon, seem to hold together all right. Everything's still attached. At first, when we first started the race, it was there was mud holes. It wasn't completely all tore up and muddy the whole way, and this little critter was moving at a pretty high rate of speed through a lot of it. But as it got thicker and deeper and all over the place, it just was a lot more lot harder to follow a line in the track, because it was so tore up with so many different people going through it with a lot of wide tire bikes tearing it up. So but no, it was definitely an experience. I think it was 40 something yesterday morning when we woke up at the track, and the weather had cleared. It was like it is right now out here, but the day before, on Saturday, it was drizzly and rainy and chilly and overcast, and so it was a challenge, you know. But most of the components held up well. We had at the very beginning of the race, they took us around for like two laps just to see the track, and then the race started. Well, as soon as the green dropped, I go to get on the gas, and the throttle cable seemed as it had broke. The thing was idling. We come to find out inside here, it came loose, so we reattached it, and we didn't have any problems with that from then on, at least with that anyways. One time we had the bike was running really weird. A chunk of mud had covered the top of this cap, closing the vent, that little bitty vent hole there, which in normal conditions works fine, but it plugged up and didn't allow the gas to flow through out of the tank. And then we looked at the fuel filter, and the filter inside was all crushed down. So once we cleaned that mess up, it started running good again, and we had to replace the carburetor, thinking it was a carburetor, but it wasn't. So the way we done the air filter here, tucked in with our little piece of rubber hanging down in front of the fender there, kept all the crud off of the air filter. It got a little damp at a couple of points, but nothing that was stopping it from running, and there was no mud all over it like the rest of the bike was. So that little flap right back there seemed to work pretty well. Made out of a piece of inner tube, actually. So we're gonna take a look at things, make some revisions. I might remount these shocks. They're a little too far in, and the chain rubs on that shock on that side. I actually rubbed it pretty good. I don't know if it's gonna fail or what, but it didn't fail on the track, so gotta fix that. Lights work pretty well at night. I had them on for a little while. The original idea of the race was they were going to run till 10 p.m. in the back section, but I mean, it was so muddy that would have been really kind of dangerous, because you really couldn't see what was going on a lot of times. So they shut it down at around 6 o'clock, the back section, then switched to the front of the track, where some of the guys ran all night. They had a lot of laps. The ones that were they didn't tell us how many, but I talked to somebody who came in second, and they had a bunch. So and their guys ran all night. They were fixing bikes all evening, off and on. Fix one, put it back out. Fix another one, put it back out. That was the Def Duck Racing crew. Check out Def Duck Racing on YouTube, Instagram, and now he is on Facebook too. I'm relatively new to Instagram, Def Duck, so check him out. A good bunch of guys. But yeah, no, a lot of people really showing a lot of like on this idea design that we did here. Just let everybody know, this frame started out as a Monster Moto 80 frame. So those little bitty, you see them 79cc 4-stroke mini bikes that they sell, or they used to sell. What we did, we stretched the frame 3 inches, cut off the rear fixed suspension, And then we added the new triple tree mounting head in the front. That's a CNC machine tube that we welded onto the front end. Welded in this solid reinforcement here. Of course, did the whole, made the swing arm, added the mounts for the shocks. Rear fender mounts, made the gas tank. So, you know, I heard some people saying, well, that's a little dirt bike with a 6.5 engine added to it and a torque converter. I said, no, not really. It's a mini bike frame that was modified to use as you see it here. So yeah, it has its lineage right back to a little good old-fashioned little bitty dinky 79cc 4-stroke mini bike. So, or those electric ones, and then they made some, I guess, some 100cc versions of that too. Monster Moto, which is no longer around, but the bikes are everywhere. So yeah, that's what it started at. So a lot of extra work to get to this point. Let's see here. Actually, you know what? Let's walk in here and I can show you what it started as we slide through here. That frame right there is a Monster Moto 80. Of course, that's got a 3.5 Briggs on it. Actually, that's a Tecumseh on there right now. But yeah, if you see that shape, that basic shape of the frame, which I chose it because it has the shape of a normal motorcycle frame. Once you cut this funky solid suspension, no suspension rear part off. So yeah, that's what it started with. It was a frame that I bought from Go Power Sports when they were selling just the frames. And back here, there's actually 2 more of them. This one here has been stretched 3 inches, and I added an 8-horse Briggs. Put a new motor mounting plate on the bottom. It's got an 8-horse Briggs. Getting ready to put a set of new front forks on it because this is way too small for the engine and the modifications. And in the back, I made extension plates for both sides and welded it on. I'm going to be having those for sale here pretty soon. I just got to get some drawings done on them. And then, of course, right next to us, just a regular old Monster Moto 80 with a 3.5 Briggs on it. Fun little bike to ride. We made that gas tank, and then the 8-horse Briggs gas tank over there also, we made that one too. But you know, that's what it started with. So when people say, that's not fair. So, well, I guess it might not be to some people, but it's pretty fair to me, all the work we put into it. You know, some people are running 20-horse engines and some people are running a 6.5, is that fair? Well, you figure that one out. So anyhow, so that's the lineage of the frame. Half-flinger. A couple other toys over here that are waiting. That one's got to be put back together. The Mako needs a rebuild. The Honda probably just needs some gas lines and it'll be ready to run. So that's a lot of fun. That'll be killer. This gas tank, believe it or not, is off an old Lawn Boy 2-cycle mower, probably from the 60s. Who knows, maybe late 50s, I don't know. But they work pretty good as mini bike gas tanks. Anyhow, so that's kind of the lineage of the frame. I just want to let everybody know that because people can't believe it when I tell them. But yeah, that's what it started out as. So, hope this explains a little bit about it. Of course, that big old nice cushy seat was like a lifesaver, so to speak. Didn't have that fatigue wasn't part of it. There was a lot of other fatigues, like the soreness I feel from crashing a couple times, but a few times. But I guess that's, excuse me, not the bike's fault. But anyhow, 24 Hours Lamini, Dirtfoot Racing, we were there. Lots of others were there. They had a good turnout, I think. Like I said, the Def Duck Racing guys definitely put out a serious effort. And the other guys that won, they put out a serious effort too, obviously, because they actually had more laps. Nobody told us how many laps they had, but they know. So anyhow, and there was no major problems, no fighting, no bobbling, nobody got into issues, the riders and anything. everybody's having a good time for the most part. So that's I guess that's what it's all about. So like, share, subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. Stay tuned. We're going to make some mods of this one, and there's already ideas in the works for another version of this, maybe a monoshock version, and who knows, maybe we'll make some frames. Let's see what happens. Talk to you guys later. See ya.